Okay, folks, here's the deal. We're going to learn about expected value and standard deviation of a discrete probability distribution. I'm going to do an example, kind of crashed the first time, so it's going to kind of join in progress. So here's our deal. We have a probability distribution here. It's the number of people in a household probability. So it's basically what is the probability of finding a household with one person, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7. It's asking me to find the expected value. And what expected value is, again, the expected value is the same as the mean of something. So what we are going to do is to figure out the mean, we multiply every outcome by its probability. So 1 times 0.25, 2 times 0.32, all the way up to 7 times 0.01, and we add them up. Now, here's the deal. In the world of statistics, in the world of AP, I want you to give me the first and the last, and I want you to go ahead and put an ellipsis in between. So again, if you were doing this, I'd want you to do the expected value of household probability is 1 times 0.25 plus ... plus 6 times, not 6, 7 times 0.01. And then I want you to pick up your calculator. And the way you're going to do it in your calculator is as follows. We'll turn that light off. We're going to clear our memory, second plus 7, 1, 2. Now what we're going to do is the following. So if I give this up high enough, we can see the whole calculator. Calculator online kind of crashed. So we're going to do stat. We're going to do edit. And what we are going to do is we are going to put all of the outcomes in L1. So all of my outcomes are going to go in L1. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we're going to put their corresponding probabilities in to L2. So that would be 0.25, 0.32, 0.17, 0.15, 0.07, 0.03, 0.01. Okay. Now, I want to zoom in a little bit so you kind of see what I'm going to do next. And something went off there, so let me see what I missed. So 0.15, this was 0.07, enter, 0.0. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in so we can take a look at this a little bit nicer, closer. So what's going to happen now is we're going to arrow over. We're going to arrow up to the L3. And what we're going to do is we want to put in what would be the equivalent of L1 times L2. So the way we get L1 is down here, it's in blue. So we're going to hit the second button. So what we're going to do is we're going to do second 1 times second 2. So we get L1 times L2 down here. What it's going to do is it's going to multiply all these folks together. So now we hit enter, and what these are called the components of my expected value, the components of my mean. I need to add them all up. The way I do that is I do second mode to quit. I do second 0 down here, 0 down here to get to my catalog. And what I want to do is I want to go to the letter T. That's 4. The reason I go to T is because if I arrow up twice, I get to sum. Because what I want to do is I want to sum something. I want to sum L3. So what I'm going to do is second 3 is going to give me L3. And that's going to tell me that the average number of people in a household is 2.6 people. 2.6 people. Okay. So that's how we do expected value. So what this is, again, interpretation is it says on average, if we selected a household many times, many times, lots and lots, we'd find an average of 2.6 people in a household. Okay, so that's our first one. That's what we did last time. So now what I want to show you is how you actually do standard deviation. And the way we do standard deviation is we have to go through what's called the variance, okay? So this is something you're going to get used to doing is anytime we work with standard deviation, we move to the variance. And what the variance is going to be in this case, the variance is going to be a formula. It's on your formula sheet, but basically what it is it's going to be the sum of, so again, I got a formula sheet. I can show you where it is. When we do variance, variance is going to be right. Oh, here it is. Okay, so this is kind of where we're talking about invariance and standard deviation. So what I want to show you is we are going to go through and we are going to figure out the variance of something. So here's kind of our formula for standard deviation. The variance is this guy underneath the square root sign. That's variance. So we're actually finding the difference between each individual income or each individual household's number, the outcome, and the mean. So whatever this expected value is, so our expected value. And we're squaring it. We're finding out how far is each outcome from the expected value. We're going to multiply that times its corresponding probability. So in other words, what I'm going to do is I am going to take this 0.25, which is my household, which is my one. So this one right here, outcome is one person in a household. So what that says is, how far is that one from this 2.6? We're going to square it. We're going to multiply it by its probability, 0.25. And that summation means what I'm going to do is I'm going to add them all up. So again, I'm going to say how far is 2 from 2.6? Square it, multiply it times 0.32. How far is 2 from the average? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep doing that until I get to how far is 7 from 2.6 times its probability. And this right here is going to give me what's called my variance. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is figure out variance. And the way you do that, again, is in the calculator. We're going to work with the data we already have. So we're going to go back to stat. We're going to go back to edit. And we're going to go to L4. So here is the deal. Let me kind of bring this down so that we can get L4. You can see a little bit clearer. We're going to arrow over to the L4 column. We're going to go up to the header row. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to put this formula right here without the summation. This formula right here is going to go in. So this is outcome. So again, XI is your outcome. That's your expected value. And this is my probability. Well, if you remember, outcome went into L1, probability went into L2. So what we're going to do is the following. We are going to put an open set of parentheses. So let me bring it up again so we can kind of see. We're going to do an open set of parentheses. We're going to say we want to take L1, so second one is L1. We're going to subtract what the expected value was. So in this case, it's 2.6. Close the parens, square it. We're going to multiply it times L2. So that formula right there is the same as that formula right there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to hit enter. And what this is going to do is these gives me the components of my variance, the pieces that make up my variance. I need to add them all up. So quit. So again, we're going to add them all up. So we're going to go to catalog. We're going to go to sum. And in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to sum L4. And what that's going to tell me is that my variance is 2.02. So what that tells me is the sum of all of this stuff. So my variance is 2.02. Now, here's the thing. There is a notation for variance, and this is the notation for variance. Variance is that sigma, like we think about with standard deviation, squared. So that's going to be my variance, 2.02. So technically, if you wanted a unit of measure, as weird as it sounds, it's 2.02 people squared. I know it seems weird. We're very rarely going to put that measure down, but just so you know, to figure out standard deviation is this simple. And the way I would turn a sigma squared into a sigma is I take the square root of 2.02. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the square root. Let me show you a good, easy way to do it. You want to hit this little arrow key here. It's going to take my answer 2.02. I'm going to raise it to the 0.5 power. 1/2 is like taking square root. So it's 1.42. So my standard deviation is 1.42 people. So again, that's how you figure out standard deviation. And again, interpretation of this is going to be important. So that, again, this is going to say on average, the variability from the mean of 2.6 people in a house is 1.42 people for a randomly selected household. So what this tells me is I now have the mean, I now have the standard deviation. Y'all just told me that the mean is 2.6. You told me that the standard deviation is 1.42. Now we're going to work towards shape, but right now that's all you need to do. So hopefully that helps a little bit on what we talked about today. I'm going to do another video that's going to kind of talk about the continuous variables, which is a little bit of a review for you. So hopefully that helped. Please ask questions if you have them.